So I would like to welcome all the devotees for the morning Bhagavatam class. And so we'll start with the prayers. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Savadetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sahagana Devam Savdetam Savdutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So I would like to seek blessings from all the assembled devotees. This is my first time giving a Bhagavatam class. So I will make a lot of mistakes. So please correct me and help me to do this service for Krishna. So today we are reading from Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 26. I'll be reading the verse. Patalam etasya hi padamulam patanti parshani prapadera satalam mahatalam vishwasrijotha gulfau talatalam vai purushasya jange. I forgot to share the screen. Can you see the screen, Prabhu?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Patalam, the planets at the bottom of the universe. Etasya, of his. He exactly. Padamulam, soles of the feet. Patanti, they study it. Parshni, the heels. Prapadye, the toes. Rasatalam, the planet's name Rasatal. Mahatalam, the planet's name Mahatala. Vishwasrija, of the creator of the universe. Atha, thus. Gulfau, the ankles. Talatalam, the planet's name Talatal. Vai, as they are. Purushasya, of the gigantic person. Janghe, the shanks. Translation. Persons who have realized it have studied the planets known as Patal constitute the bottoms of the feet of the universal Lord, and the heels and the toes are the Rasatal planets. The ankles are the Mahatal planets, and his shanks constitute the Talatal planets. So now, starting this verse, Shukdev Goswami is actually beginning to describe the various parts of the Virat Rupa where different planets are located in respect to Krishna's Virat Rupa's form. So here he's mentioning about the soles, basically the bottom is the Patal planet, and the toes and the heels are Rasatal planets, and the ankles are Mahatal planets, and his shanks are Talatal planets. And in further verses, he will be mentioning about the knees, what are the thighs, what is the navel of Krishna, what is the neck of Krishna, what is the chest of Krishna. So he'll be mentioning about different descriptions of the universal form of the Lord. So I'll be reading the purport now. Outside the bodily existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the manifested cosmic existence has no reality. Everything and anything of the manifested world rests on him, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4. But that does not imply that everything and anything in the vision of a materialistic is the Supreme Personality. The conception of the universal form of the Lord gives a chance to the materialistic to think of the Supreme Lord. But the materialistic must know for certain that his visualization of the world in a spirit of lording over it is not God realization. The materialistic view of exploitation of the material resources is occasioned by the illusion of the external energy of the Lord. And as such, if anyone wants to realize the supreme truth by conceiving of the universal form of the Lord, he must cultivate the service attitude. Unless the service attitude is revived, the conception of Virat realization will have very little effect on the seer. The transcendental Lord, in any conception of his form, is never a part of the material creation. He keeps his identity as Supreme Spirit in all circumstances and is never affected by the three material qualities, for everything material is contaminated. The Lord always exists by his internal energy. The universe is divided into 14 planetary systems. 7 planetary systems called Bhur, Bhuvar, Swar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satya are upward planetary systems, and one above the other. There are also 7 planetary systems downward, known as Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal, gradually one below the other. In this verse, the description begins from the bottom because it is in the line of devotion that the Lord's bodily description should begin from his feet. Shukdev Goswami is a recognized devotee of the Lord, and he is exactly correct in the description. So in the purport, in this purport and in many previous purports, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning why the Virat Rupa form is exhibited by the Lord. It's actually a chance for the less intelligent class of men to think of Krishna, to think of the Supreme Creator, who is the person behind this beautiful creation, and to giving them an opportunity to come back to him, to understand him. So here also Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the same thing, but he's adding another point that the materialistic view is visualization of the world. Basically, it is the mood to lord it over, to control the materialistic, to control the world, not to realize the God. So so the materialistic people, they don't want to accept the personal form of Lord Krishna or Lord Ram, because for them it is really revolting. They just don't want to accept that the form of the personal form of the Lord. So for them, Krishna is giving this opportunity so that they can at least see the Lord through the Virat realization, Virat exhibition of the Lord. And it is, in the purport, we can understand, it is actually a pathway the Virat realization is a pathway for such category of people. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling so many different ways to come to him. If somebody doesn't want to offer devotional service, so Krishna is telling Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, different ways. So this is also another way for a particular class of men or people to understand Krishna. But the condition here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport is that we must develop the service attitude. So it is not just enough to appreciate the nature. When we go out, people, they appreciate the nature. Wow, this beach is so beautiful, these mountains are so beautiful. It is not enough, but we should have a service attitude towards the person who is the creator of this beautiful nature. So that is the purpose of Krishna's exhibiting this universal form, and that's what Prabhupada is mentioning here. So we, and Krishna is the owner, is the proprietor, and he's the controller of this material world, and he is also at the same time is the enjoyer of the material world. So the materialistic approach is, so there are two different approaches to see the Virat Rupa. One is the materialistic approach and one is the approach of a devotee. So the materialistic approach to see Virat Rupa is to enjoy, to take maximum use of the nature, the matter, and to exploit it and to use it in their own sense gratification. And the devotee approach is to appreciate those resources and acknowledge those resources and then use those resources in the service of Krishna. Just like a devotee and materialistic, they both externally, they look same. They both are doing the same thing. Srila Prabhupada was mentioning in one of his classes that externally, they appear exactly same. They are eating, sleeping, they are cooking, they are working. Everything looks same externally, but the purpose is different. The purpose of a materialistic is to satisfy their own desires, their own senses, and the purpose of a devotee is to satisfy the desires of the Lord, of Krishna. And this tendency of controlling the material nature is actually the cause of our existence in the material world. So in two verses, it's so strange that the exact two verses in Srimad Bhagavatam mentions that a living entity is transcendental. So I'm reading the translation. Actually, a living entity is transcendental to material existence, but because of his mentality of lording it over material nature, his material existential condition does not cease. And just as in a dream, he is affected by all sorts of disadvantages. So just because of this tendency to enjoy, to lord it over, to become the master, to have this tendency of getting the credit, getting the position in the material world, we are not able to seize our existence in this material world. So this is stopping us, basically, this is stopping us from going back to Godhead. This is the only hurdle that stops us to go back to Krishna, is to enjoy or to become to have the tendency of this becoming masters. And Prabhupada, at one point, he mentions why we have this tendency to become the Lord, to become the master, is because we are minute Ishwaras, we are mini gods, and this tendency is coming from there. But we should also understand that we are not the supreme enjoyer. We have the tendency to enjoy, but we should also through our intelligence, through the eyes of Shastras, we should understand that we are not the supreme enjoyer. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And if we want to enjoy, if we continue having this habit of enjoyment in this material world, it is going to give us more and more frustration, more and more boundation, more and more anxiety, and then there'll be no way out. So the solution is to actually take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Also here in the purport, Shukdev Goswami is mentioning about, in the Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that Shukdev Goswami, he started the description of the Virat Rupa from the lotus feet, not from the lotus feet, from the base, like bottom of the feet, so he's starting from the bottom of the feet, where the Talatal planets are located, Patal planets are located. So this is a devotee's approach to devotee's way to approach the Lord, is to approach the Lord from the lotus feet. Just like when we take Arti, when we do Arti, we start from the lotus feet of the Lord. And then when we take darshan, we take darshan from the lotus feet, and then from the leg, and then we go up to the chest, and then hands and the face. So that is the way, that is the recognized way, that is the way, that is the way. It is actually a sign of humility that devotee shows. Although there's no difference between Krishna's lotus face, Krishna's lotus hands, Krishna's lotus feet, but it is a devotee who wants to show utmost respect to the Lord and utmost humility, because he considers himself servant and considers Krishna the master. So he starts everything from the lotus feet of the Lord. Also, Lord Chaitanya, he prays that Tava Pada Pankaja, that he wants to be the Pada Dhuli, the particle of the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And that is our shelter, ultimate shelter. And that is the, you can say, ultimate shelter. There is no other shelter. We actually take a lot of shelters. We make shelters in our family, in our friends, our own mind, our body, but ultimately everything, one after another, we have experienced that nothing works. Even our own mind, it bewilders us, and even our own body, it starts, it just doesn't work after a while. When we see the reality, like in old age, the body doesn't help us. So the only shelter is the shelter at the lotus feet of Lord. And this tendency of lording it over, we just have to change. In one of the classes, Srila Prabhupada was mentioning that we already know the process. Like we know the process, how to satisfy the senses. The process is to satisfy the senses. But the goal is different. In a materialistic view, the goal is to satisfy their own senses, and for a devotee, the goal is to satisfy the senses of Krishna. So this is what I wanted to share today. Please correct if I made any mistake, and I want to hear from devotees. No.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj.
Mataji, wonderful Mataji. You really spoke so well, Thank you so much for the message. I had a comment or a question. We we understand that the Lord is the most attractive. He has all the appliances and he has so much beauty, that we can't resist, if we look at him. If that is the case, why is it revolting to certain people when they see the form of the Lord? Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. In my understanding, Prabhu, that's why there are 4 lakh species of human form. So it's based on their not on their physical difference. It's based on how their psychophysical nature is formed. Basically, there are different there are categories who do not want to accept the personal form of the Lord. Just like I was in the month of book distribution in this December, we have a Muslim lady in our community, and she was interested in taking a Gita. So I gave her one Bhagavad Gita, but she was resisting that. She was telling me that there is no personal form of the Lord, and I don't believe in the personal form of the Lord. And she was, as soon as she heard that this book talks about the personal form of the Lord, she said, no, I don't want to go into this. So then this was my first kind of encounter with the impersonal. Is like how strong she was in her approach and in her way of thinking, that yes, there is no personal form of the Lord. So for these category of people, Krishna, he's so kind. He wants to introduce in one way or the other that I'm there, I'm the supreme person. You accept me this way or that way, just for our own benefit. So he's trying his best to bring us back. I hope this is clear for you.
Yeah, Mataji, thank you so much. It is. Thank you so much.
Any corrections mistakes that I made? Any corrections for?
Hare Krishna, Devi Mataji. Someone is. Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please go ahead.
I was going to ask something. Please, after you, Mataji, Sandhya Mataji. After you finish.
Hare Krishna, Devimurti, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you. It is a great opportunity to see you here and a great start. And we look forward to seeing you more, hearing from you more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your blessings.
Hare Krishna, Devimurti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
I missed in the early parts, Mataji. Recently I've been having parallel meetings, but it was so nice to hear you. It's the first time hearing from you also for me. Thank you.
This is my first time speaking, Prabhu.
Okay. So you're saying that the materialists that they take pleasure in the senses, and the devotees, they do the same, but with Krishna in the center, right, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
So that way, the mentality of lording it over can be somehow slowly, reduced.
Yes. In one of the classes, Prabhupada was mentioning that this for a Krishna conscious person, there is. He was mentioning that this tendency to lord it over the material nature is a sign of lust. And as soon as we come into Krishna consciousness, there's no lust. There's no question of lust. So that's what he was mentioning.
That was very encouraging and interesting. I was also correlating to something from the chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna was telling demoniac and divine. And after telling the demoniac qualities, he tells Arjuna, don't worry. You're not born of the demon, although you're trying to kill the people. So I kind of took the understanding as as long, we are trying to take up this devotion to Krishna. So then, we are not going into the demoniac, not divine, but in the process. So kind of correlating to me, like as long, the moment we come to Krishna consciousness, we are not categorized into lusty, but coming into the pleasing to Krishna. That's encouraging also. Thank you so much, Mathaji. Hare Krishna.
Because you're on mute in case if you're speaking.
Oh, yes, I'm saying it's almost 8 o'clock. Should we end the call, Prabhu? Or what do you think?
Yeah, if there's anyone comments.
Thank you all the devotees. Thank you all the devotees for this opportunity. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo anant koti vaishnavendra ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Mathaji, for taking this and then taking the service and doing the class. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. You are the host, Mathaji. You can end the call. I just came out to